So if you go on Gmail, I don't know from the top of my head which ones you can change, but I know that there are a few things that you can say, hey, if this email is like this, just send it to junk or reject it. Yeah, but it's not yeah, it's not very broad. Yeah, and one I can tell you one really easy setting that you can change anywhere is like, when normally you click on an email, it automatically opens it, right?
Mhm.
That's a that even though it's something annoying because you will need to open it manually every time. Like if you disable that feature where just clicking on an email just to see the full subject, right? It will open automatically the email. That's
Mhm.
something that you could change just to make it a lot more secure. And the other thing is downloading the pictures and all the little things, HTML nice things in the email, that you can disable that too. So basically, I don't know if you see that sometimes you open the email, right? And right away downloads all the pictures and you see like Microsoft and all the good stuff. And sometimes some companies, they have it set up where you open it and it looks ugly and you see all the only text. That's because security, they don't want to download anything automatically from the email. That's
Okay.
another quick stuff that you could set up as well to make it more secure. uh, but I know you have a few more features on Gmail itself. Really don't remember which ones from the top of my head.
All right, got it. Yes, Edgar, over to you again.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. So I have a few questions from what we have covered, Rafael. And for example, what happens if one of these email attacks comes during the weekend? I mean, like, is it that most probably, people are getting rest during the weekend, but they might also be checking their emails. So, is there anyone, or is there any kind of protection for that kind of specific scenario?
Well, I'll tell you this in my opinion, this come back again to the processes of the company, right? And
Hmm.
their budget, right? So basically, if a company have good policies about how to handle your company email, right? And the people follows those, right? It will be more secure regarding when they show up in the email, when they shouldn't, right? But to your point, if they open it on a weekend or not, like some companies with a bigger budget, they have 24/7 monitoring, okay? And even though if they don't have people all the time monitoring, right? You can set up alerts where even though if the email is open at XYZ time, right, it's gonna send an alert to the person that normally checks the emails or takes care of the email, and he can see it right away. Like I can tell you in my phone, I have the mailbox that we used to monitor, and even though if I'm
Hmm.
not working, if I see something that doesn't make sense for me, I'll try to jump in right away and try to see what it is. But basically, those are things that you can set up like alerts. Will be a cheap solution to not having someone 24/7 monitoring, right? And say like, let's say a suspicious email got to Edgar during Saturday, right? And Edgar decided to open it, and then right away says, look, this suspicious emails, got to Edgar, and he opened it, or he clicked on this suspicious link. So you can have those alerts, so that way at least the person that takes care of the security or the IT in the company could go ahead and check what's going on.
Hmm. Okay. And in that case, what kind of measures are there in place once that, for example, I open an email and you guys detect it might be a threat. So, what are the next steps that you normally take in these kind of situations?
Okay, so basically in this situation, when you check that the person actually opened an email or clicking a link and you confirm it's a malicious email, the first thing is you recall the email, right? So you delete it from the user mailbox, okay? Depending on the tools you have, that's going to be easier or harder, but you're going to be able to do it. Once you
Hmm.
do that, basically you contact the user, right? And ask the user if they ever put any password in or not. If the user is not secure about it, you recommend the password right away, right? And and basically after that, just if the email comes from a company, right, that is a partner of the company that you work for, then you should reach the partner as well, or contact the person that is in charge of reaching to the partner, right, and say, hey, you
Hmm.
know what, we received this from you. We confirm it's coming from your server, but it's compromised. So that means they've been hacked or something like that, and they send a malicious email to us. So in that case, basically you quarantine the email, You reach to receive. If they set up any credentials, you ask them to reset their credentials, right, or walk them through, or you do it for them. And after that, reach the to the sender if it's a partner in this case, or if it's not a partner, it's just something make up. Then I'll say it ends there, right? And because there's nothing else you can do about it. What you could do is, if it is a domain that is not a, for instance, if it is a free mail, right? I'm not going to go ahead and block gmail.com for the company, right? But if it is talkit.com, right? And I believe that it's being malicious, I can go ahead and just block that domain and say, you know what, these I don't like this domain. These people is sending a lot of bad stuff, and you can just block it so you don't receive anything from them. Something now
Mm.
that thinking about that, something else that you normally set up is that you can do a target for your business, right? And say, okay, which are the regions that do. So let's say I have a company and it is set up for business only in Texas. I could go ahead and block any other state in the United States in the entire world. So that way I don't receive email from anyone else. That's a little too extreme, right? But again, like if you do business in the States, you can set up your email to allow only emails from the States, right? And any other top level domain that comes like from Argentina, Venezuela, Chile, or that kind of stuff, it won't even be checked. It will be automatically blocked and not even checked. So that's another
Mhm.
security measure you can take in that case.
Okay, cool. And what happens, for example, we were talking about credentials, and I guess these credentials are, like corporate credentials. But what happens if, for example, a user typed in their personal information? So in that case, how can you assist the user if, for example, they give away passwords or some other thing that are, like more personal?
Okay, and this again is if you're using your company equipment, right, under the company policies, you should not have anything personal in your computer. And I can tell you
Hmm.
something that normally makes the emails insecure is that you have your company email and then you start using it for, I don't know, to Netflix, right? Or you start using it for your HBO account, or for you enroll in a golf club and you put it in the golf club, right? And then that's where I'm going. Like these companies might not have the right security measures in place, and that's when you start receiving a spam email, or they sell your information. Sometimes we don't like to read all those small letters, right? And some of those companies that you're signed up for, they say, hey, I'm gonna sell your information and letting you know. So, and the fact that you're signing up with me means that you're accepting that, right? And that's when they sell your information. You start receiving all these kind of emails that you don't know where they come from. Actually, like I always have my work email very separated from any personal life, right? So if you see my work email, it's very clean. I rarely have anything bad there, or any spam at all. Because think about this: if the people, the bad actor, don't know your email, they don't know where to gonna they're gonna send it, right? And that's why when you have these bigger companies, is the ones that get attacked the most because they're public and they have public emails, and like services at talkit.com, right? And things like that. They'll say, okay, this is a public email address. Let's see what happens. Is to say that I need this much money and I'm gonna change my social security, or I'm gonna change my, I don't know, whatever information they come up with to try to get some money from you.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, definitely. I can see a pattern here because every time that we are, talking to an expert, right? They really know their stuff, and they implement the measures. And then again, you realize that as a regular user, sometimes it's not that you don't want to, it's just that you don't know about it, right?
Exactly.
So,
I totally
yeah.
agree. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
No.
So what,
Go
mhm.
ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say, what kind of resources do you recommend our audience to go and check just to secure their email? There might be just simple steps that, or perhaps, a video or something that can help them, greatly increase their security just by um, watching it or reading it for a tiny bit, right?
Yeah, I would say basically the first thing that you have to ask you when you see an email, right, is am I
Hmm.
expecting it, right? If you
Okay.
are expecting the email, right, okay, then check at the content, right, without clicking anywhere, right, and make sure the domain is where it should come from, right?
Mhm.
And there's several ways that you can check the domain. So make sure it's not misspelled, right? Sometimes I don't know if you're seeing that maybe you have a subscription in AT&T, right? And then you receive an email and it comes from a subdomain that says something like mail.atnt.com. Normally, what I do is I go like in ChatGPT or any other tool that I have, right? And say, hey, is this a legitimate subdomain that AT&T uses for doing this? And try to find out information about it. And say, oh yeah, they normally use the mail.atnt.com to send this kind of information to their end user. See if that matches, right? So all other things that you can do, make sure it's not misspelled, as I said, as well see the intentions of the email, right? Like even though if it is very light email and say, but if it gives you the a sense of urgency that you need to do this now because you're gonna miss something, or if you don't do it now, something's gonna happen, then that's something that is gonna make you suspicious, right? And I'll say even though if you think the email is legit, right? and, and you want to confirm it somehow, I will not use any information from the email to confirm it, right? I will look my own information. Let's say it's an email coming from the bank where I have my account, my checking account, right? I'm not gonna call the phone number that is in the email. I'm gonna go ahead and find the phone number in the back of my debit card and try to reach to them and figure out if this is a legit email or not, right? So, but yeah, I would say that the first thing and most important one is make sure just to read everything. It's hard to recommend now to say look for bad grammar because now with the tools like ChatGPT, it's hard for that to be there. So I don't think that's a thing anymore. Basically, that's a thing of the past. But definitely, yeah, check the intention of the emails, right? Make sure if you're expecting it or not, and what is the sense of urgency. Like just think about it before clicking on anything. Does this make sense, right? I mean, or not. So basically, I think that's
Mhm.
the best advice I can give you.
Right,
Um,
right. Gabby?
yeah, yeah, no, I wanted to ask about this because we always ask about AI to our experts. How does AI help or play a role in enhancing email infrastructure or detecting threats? Do you use it at all in your job?
Me itself, like saying I go to an AI place and do something, not a lot. But the systems that we have, they do. So like Proofpoint, for instance, uses AI to try to determine if an email is malicious or not. Microsoft Defender does the same. So basically, that's how they can try to figure out patterns or try to find out if an email template, right, is similar to a malicious email template that another domain was sending, that kind of stuff. So that's how it plays a big role actually in trying to figure out that kind of stuff. And obviously AI does it at the speed of light, right? It's pretty quick
Right.
how it determines that. Yes.
Nice. I have one more question because we have been talking a lot about user training, like training the end
Sure.
user to understand and know what to click, what not to click. Are you, I mean, in your job, are you part of this like onboarding or training for the end
Yes.
user?
Yes. Yes. And and,
Okay.
and actually, as you say, that's something that you reiterate a lot because it is the only, like, think about that. You can have everything well set up again, and it's impossible that no one single email is going to slip through, right? And basically, when that happened, I even recommend the users look, even though if you think it's legit, right? If you think it's legit, but you have a 1% doubt, just report it. That's another thing. If you have a department, right, that for in your company, or you have an IT guy, if after all the little tips I've gave you, right, you still, well, I check this, I check that, and I still believe it's legit, but there is something that doesn't give you that certainty, right? Just report it. Report it and say, hey, you know what? I think this is fish. And the worst that could happen is that your IT guy comes back and say, you know what? This is legit. Don't worry. Go ahead and click on it, right? But if it's not, then well, we caught something bad, right? So I'll say that's another thing. People sometimes is afraid of reporting something because they think that oh no, I should know about this. I wouldn't say that. I mean, I would say having that mindset is good, right? Just if you have any doubt and you know there's someone that have more expertise that can help you, just go ahead and report the email and just get a second opinion, right?
Mm,
But
yeah.
again, when I say a second opinion, I'll say definitely your IT department or your cybersecurity department, because sometimes you just get a coworker, right? And they're like, oh yeah, that's bad. Like I've seen stuff where we send company info, how to say, like newsletters, and all of the people reports them, and it's because just one coworker says, oh yeah, that's bad. I'm 100% sure. And that's not bad either. Like not at all. I'd rather people do that than go ahead and thinking, oh, this is good and let it go, right?
Right.
But yeah, sometimes that happens. So that's why I say, like, when you have it now, I'll definitely recommend get to someone that is an expert, or at least have knowledge about it, right? Because I don't think a coworker that doesn't have that knowledge will be helpful
Right.
though. Yeah.
Right. But like going back to the onboarding on trainings, how does it happen? Is it like video? Is it like a conference or a PDF document that they can
Yeah.
go through?
Have you ever heard about Know Before, for instance? It's a very popular platform, right? That you can use to set up training for any kind of IT cybersecurity topic, right? So basically, there are several platforms, but Know Before is just one of the most popular ones. Basically, it allows you to go ahead and pick thousands of videos they have already preset for phishing training or computer usage, right? It has some documents already preset up, and you can just go ahead and scale them and deploy them as well. I don't know if you ever work in a company where you actually click on something, and then there's a message saying, this was just a training, right? And if this was legit, you'll be in troubles or something like that, right?
Hmm.
So those kind of tools help you train the user and get a little more awareness about it. And
Oh,
actually, you can automatically set up, like, okay, whenever a user click on this phishing training that is bad, automatically deploy these videos where it will reinforce where they
oh,
fail.
oh
So
God.
so I would say that kind of even tool of a process, or a process, because you can say, okay, you know what, I don't have money to pay for that. That's fine. You can go ahead and go to YouTube. There's plenty of videos that you're gonna find about that, right? Just pick the ones that you like the most, put an email together, send it to your company, right? Try to people to get trained on it, and you can do at least on the basic Microsoft 365 Exchange Online subscription. I'm pretty sure you can deploy some phishing emails, and just try to send some phishing training, right? And see how that goes for your users, right? And see if someone fails, just try to get to them, send them more, more training. But again, like what I'm trying to say, not having this platform that does this automatically and easier, right? It means like, oh, I don't have the money for that. Well, no, really, you just have to put an effort to it. Or I would say the most important part is putting a process, right? Like Edgar asked me, like, hey, Rafael, after someone actually click on it, what we should do, right? So basically, you have a process to what you should do if you haven't clicked on it, what you should do if you click on it, and basically the education in all that. Yeah, it's very important.
Great. Yeah. All right, Ed, do you have
Fantastic.
any more questions before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I have one more actually, and perhaps Rafael, along with that, you can help us with some wrap-up comments as well. But what would be the main KPIs that, as a company, we can measure, to determine the health of our email systems, and what factors do we need to look for?
I think you can definitely check for how many clickers you have in a month, right? And when I mean clickers, people that actually click on bad stuff, and how many people you have that have open bad emails, right? And do something about it, basically, versus how many reporters, right? So that way you can see, okay, who is actually using the information that I'm providing, right? Because if you compare that actual to how many emails your gateway, if you have a mail protection system, right, it's gonna be a huge difference, and it's gonna look like you're doing nothing, but that's not true, because that actually how your users react is the important part to it, right? Like if they actually use the information, so you want to know if they actually are using the information you're providing or not, right? And I think that will be the
Mhm.
best KPI you can use to figure that out. Yeah, because think about this, as I
Fantastic.
say, like if you use your gateway that is holding a bunch of or quarantining a lot of emails, right, every day, versus the few that can go through. That's not fair, right? You're not gonna say, oh well, yeah, this thing held 100 emails, right, in a day for a small company, versus this guy, click on one. Well, that's a huge difference, right? But if you start comparing, the people that actually reported the email versus the people that open it or click on a link, that's where you start having a sense of if what you're doing it's giving good fruits or not, right?
Mhm. Fantastic. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much, Rafael, for all your inputs. Thank you everyone for joining us today. And yeah, really looking forward to start implementing some of these measures that you shared with us today.
Definitely.
I think it was really valuable.
Awesome.
So yeah, thank you so much. Gabby or Rafael, any closing comments?
I just want to thank you, Rafael, for wanting to join this conversation. It's been very insightful. Definitely gonna close this meeting and go to my Gmail account and check all the settings. But yeah, thank you. Anything that you want to add before we wrap it up?
No, just want to say thank you very much for having me. It was really fun to talk to you guys, and I hope I was able to answer the questions to the best of my knowledge.
No,
You did,
definitely.
definitely.
Great conversation. All right. Yeah, thank you.